Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing really well. So I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about a few more 2026 anticipated reads. So in my last video, I talked about reads that I wanted to do this year, but weren't necessarily published in 2026. So there are books that are already out. So in this video, I wanted to talk about most anticipated new releases. So books that are coming out in 2026 that I definitely want to have on my TBR through the year. And this list will be almost entirely Gothic and Gothic adjacent reads. I did talk about, for the past few videos that reading more Gothic books has been what's gotten me out of my recent reading slump that's been going on for close to a year and a half right now. So I've been really enjoying reading more Gothic books, more ghosty books, more supernatural stories. So I wanted to stay on that train, and of course I will intersperse it with other types of horror subgenres as well, but these just sounded so good, so I wanted to keep on the Gothic train for right now. So I do have, I believe, 8 books that are coming out in 2026 that I wanted to talk about, and one bonus. So this is a book that I left off of my list last time, but I just discovered it and I wanted to make sure to talk about it. So I'll leave that one to the end, but we're going to start off in January and talk about some Gothic books that are being released in 2026. So first up on the list, coming out on January the 27th, is This House Will Feed by Maria Tarode. And this one sounded so good to me because it takes place in Ireland. And of course, when you're reading a lot of Gothic literature, a lot of it takes place in England. And I've been reading a lot of books throughout 2025 that take place in Scotland, but I think this will be my first fictional read in quite some time that takes place in Ireland. And this takes place during or just after the Great Famine. So I think this is going to have a lot of historical fact wound into it. I'm hoping it does anyway. And I have described it before that I really like books that will kind of send me down a bit of a rabbit hole looking into history and folklore and that sort of thing. So this takes place in County Clare in 1848. In the scant few years since the potato blight first cast its foul shadow over Ireland, Maggie O'Shaughnessy has lost everything, her entire family and the man she trusted with her heart. Toiling in the Ennis workhouse for paltry rations, she can see no future either within or outside its walls, until the mysterious Lady Catherine arrives to whisk her away to an old mansion in the stark limestone landscape of Burren. Lady Catherine wants Maggie to impersonate her late daughter Wilhelmina and hoodwink solicitors into releasing Wilhelmina's widow pension so that Lady Catherine can continue to provide for the villagers in her care. In exchange, Maggie will receive freedom from the workhouse, and the one thing that she wants more than anything, a chance to fulfill the promise she made to her brother on his deathbed, to live to spite them all. Launching herself into a daunting task, Maggie plays the role of Wilhelmina as best she can, while ignoring the village's late tales of ghostly figures and curses. So fantastic. This has everything that I want. The story sounds great. Like I said, it has historical elements wound in and talk of ghosts and curses and all of that sort of thing. So this is absolutely perfect. This is a brand new author to me, and most on this list are brand new authors to me. So definitely had to put this one on the list, starting out strong in January. And then coming out on February 3rd, we have The Glowing Hours by Layla Siddiqui. So this one is kind of a historical fiction, a tie-in with Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. So funny enough, I've never actually read Frankenstein. I've seen several movie adaptations, and of course I know the story. I've never read the original Mary Shelley work. So I thought it would be a really great idea to pick up Frankenstein first and then probably follow it up with this one. So this says, strange how one can find they are an interruption in another person's story. A mind-bending revisionist Gothic horror story about the fabled summer Mary Shelley began work on Frankenstein, as told by her Indian housemaid. So I thought this was fantastic because you could, do a whole readathon around it. You could read Frankenstein, you could read about Mary Shelley's life, which is quite fantastic, and then follow it up with this one. So, I'm always a little bit wary about retellings or reimaginings. But I wanted to put it on this list because Frankenstein #1 is such a loved book, a much loved work, but also because of the recent adaptation that came out from Guillermo del Toro, which I have seen and I really, really enjoyed it. So I had to put this one on the list. It sounds really, really good. And next up, also releasing in February, so coming on February 17th, is Bloodfire Baby by Erin E. Carson. And this one sounds so fantastic. I can't wait to read this one. So anything that has a Gothic story that has a lot of female mental health, maternal mental health wound into it, you know, kind of you're wondering if someone is seeing ghosts or if they're actually crazy. So this has all of those elements wound into it. So this sounds so good. So this centers around a mother, obviously. She's a new mother, and she's kind of settling into that lifestyle, and her husband leaves suddenly on for work, so she's left by herself, and she starts getting those almost postpartum symptoms, and she's left completely alone, so she doesn't really have anybody to help her. And it says her postpartum reality is overtaken by an ominous figure. Sleep deprivation collides with a darkness that creeps in and begins to spread, threatening to consume her entirely. As her grip on reality slips away, Sophia learns that an insidious haunting that has plagued the eldest daughters in her family for generations. With her baby's safety on the line, Sophia realizes she must confront her murky history or risk losing more than just the veneer of perfection. So, like I said, I love any sort of Gothic tale with those elements wound in. You know, is somebody actually losing her mind? Is it postpartum? Is there a haunting? So fantastic. So this is also a new author to me. And even when I was searching for Gothic books that came out or that are coming out in 2026, this one wasn't on a lot of the lists that I was searching. So I'm super excited about this one. And then I did also want to very quickly mention a book that I mentioned in my last video, and that's House of Splinters by Laura Purcell, which is a follow-up to The Silent Companions, which I'm reading right now. And I did mention in my last video that this was out, but I think it kind of depends on where you are in the world, if it's out, if it's coming out. So the date that I found is February 10th, so it actually should have gone before the last one in this series, but I wanted to mention it again because if you didn't catch the last video, this one apparently is not out yet, or at least not out in North America. So this is going to be fantastic for me personally, because I'm currently reading The Silent Companions finally. Laura Purcell is an auto-buy author for me as well. She is very quickly becoming one of my favorite authors, so I thought this one would be great, and I wanted to make sure to mention it on this list as well. And next out on March 24th is Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. So this is an author that I've heard so much about and I've heard so many good things about, but I still haven't managed to pick up one of their books yet. So this one sounds absolutely fantastic, and it does have, it takes place in the period that I love in the 19th century, and it's an author that I've been wanting to pick up, and the story sounds fantastic. So it says, the year is 1899, and Sonia Wilson is a scientific illustrator without work, prospects, or hope. When the reclusive Dr. Halder offers her a position illustrating his vast collection of insects, Sonia jumps at the chance to move to his North Carolina manor house and put her talents to use. But soon she finds that there are darker things at work than the Carolina woods. What happened to her predecessor, Halder's wife? Why are animals acting so strangely? And what is behind the peculiar local whispers about blood thieves? So I just wanted to stop right there, because this book also has, you know, there's a mystery at the center of it. Takes place in the late 19th century. Seems like it has a bit of a feminist angle. And then we have mention of what I would think is local folklore with these blood thieves. So this is fantastic. That's all I needed to know. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity for me to finally pick up something by T. Kingfisher, who, like I said, for years and years I've been wanting to pick up their books and just haven't gotten around to it. And next up, out on April the 21st, we have The Caretaker by Marcus Kilwer. And this one is a modern Gothic, so this sounded fantastic as well. So this centers around a woman. It very much has Darcy Coates kind of vibes. So it centers around a woman who takes a job as a caretaker for kind of an old house through Craigslist. And of course, she discovers everything sinister going on with the house. So it says, an incomprehensible evil may dwell on this property, and Macy Mullins, might just be the only thing standing between it and the rest of humanity. Follow the rights, follow the rights, follow the rights. So seems like a little bit of modern Gothic, a little bit of haunted house, a little bit of occult elements wound into here. So absolutely perfect and everything that I'm wanting in 2026. And next up, coming out May 19th, is probably my most anticipated release of the year. So we have The Temptation of Charlotte North by Camilla Bruce. And you guys know that I absolutely fell in love with her book At the Bottom of the Garden in 2025 that we read for my book club. And I couldn't wait to pick up another book by her. Just, you know, her writing style, the way that she writes dark humor into her stories, the feminist angles, witchy angles. It's just the folk horror, everything that she puts into her writing is everything that I've been wanting right now. And like I said, if it's anything that's reminiscent of At the Bottom of the Garden, it's something I'm definitely going to want to read. So this one takes place in 1910 on a small remote island that boasts more sheep than people. Life does not hold a lot of promise for spirited Charlotte North. Her only escape from both this insular community and a family who does not understand her seems to be through marriage, an institution she's not all that eager to join. Plus, eligible suitors are few and far between, which is why Charlotte has fallen hard for one of the few outsiders to join their community in recent years, the handsome and likewise unhappily married new priest. And then an ancient tower, once rumored to have imprisoned a witch or an unfaithful wife, crumbles and releases something. A restless spirit that knocks inside the walls and sends household objects flying. A spirit that seems to have an affinity for Charlotte herself. So I wanted to stop right there. So we have, like I said, the feminist angle. You know, she's trying to be forced into these arranged marriages and everything. And then there's this mystery with a witch's curse and all of this kind of stuff. So definitely had to put this on the list. And like I said, this one out of all of them is probably my most anticipated release of the year. And then jumping all the way over to September. So out September 1st is Scratch Moss by David Barnett. And I wanted to put this one on the list because it has a lot of potential. So it has potential to be really, really good, or it has potential to be a complete flop. So this one is going to be really interesting, but just by the synopsis, it sounds like if it's done well, it could be done really, really well. So there's two reasons why I'm a little bit skeptical about this book. The first one is because it takes place through 5 timelines. And I've often said that if there's more than 2 to 3 timelines, things can get very convoluted. It can get very confusing. So I'm not sure if this is written in kind of chronological order or if it bounces back and forth. So we'll have to wait and see on that and how many points of view there are. And then the other reason is because of the very last line in the synopsis, which I will read to you. So it says, "It's bad when the heart is ripped out of a community. It's worse when it loses its soul. 1865, there is coal under the fields of Scratch Moss Manor, and Sir Henry Brodie is determined to get it. But there is something else in the ground as well, something dark and evil." Then we have a timeline that happens in 1905, 1945, 1985, and in 2025, it says divorced 50-something writer Joe returns to the former mining community of Scratch Moss where he grew up for the funeral of his father. Soon the memories of Joe's teenage years and the horror that blighted the community come flooding back. A devastating 5-timeline tale centered on a community first invigorated and then destroyed by the coal mining industry in the most original folk horror novel of the year. So that very last sentence is the other thing that kind of sets my teeth on edge, because I hate it when anything says this is going to be the best folk horror book you've read all year, this is going to be the best Gothic book you've read all year, or you know, the best love story since Jane Eyre, or anything like that. It immediately kind of puts me on edge a little bit. And that's just me personally. I mean, I know it's just marketing and it's trying to sell a book, but I just hate when they do that. So that's the 2 reasons why I'm a little bit skeptical about this one, but I still wanted to put it on this list because if it's done well, it could be really, really good. And then the last book on this list that I wanted to talk about that is the bonus is The Last Witch by C.J. Cook. So this one actually came out in October of 2025, but I missed it on my last list of reads that I'm super excited to read in 2026. But I wanted to make sure to talk about it, number one, because C.J. Cook is becoming an auto-buy author for me. You guys know that I loved The Lighthouse Witches to death when I read it this year. I guess it's still 2025. But I wanted to make sure to talk about this one because it sounds so good, and it has all those same sort of themes that were in The Lighthouse Witches. So I know just with her style of writing and the same sort of themes, I think this is one that I'm going to really, really love. So it says, Helena Shoebaron should be doing what every other young wife is doing. Keeping house, supporting her husband, bearing his children. But when her husband's footman, Leopold, with whom she was having an affair, is found dead, Helena is accused of killing him. Worse, she is accused of being a witch. Imprisoned with 6 other women, Helena is plunged from her bejeweled life of comfort into a world of terror. When a cursed witch's totem is smuggled into the prison, the prisoners attempt to use it to conjure escape. But the totem is the severed hand of a murdered woman, and Helena's life is in danger both inside and outside the dungeon. Does Helena risk her life and the lives of others by standing up to a man determined to paint her as the most wicked of all? Or is the world beyond this one the real threat? Based on a real-life event, this historical horror offers a jewel-bright portrait of female power in a period of widespread female disempowerment, a thrilling addition to the canon of witcherature and silenced voices from the past. So fantastic. Like I said, anything to do with witches and folk tales and folk horror and all of that kind of stuff, especially if it has those historical elements wound in from that time period, I think this is going to be fantastic. So I wanted to make sure to put it on this list because, like I said, I missed it off the last one, but it's just too good not to talk about. So probably very, very soon I'm going to be jumping into this one. So there you guys go. That's everything that I wanted to talk about today. Gothic and Gothic adjacent books and supernatural books that are coming out in 2026 that have all of the themes that I'm looking for. I hope you guys found some inspiration for your own TBRs. Let me know, of course, if I did spark any interest in anything on this list that you would also like to add to your TBRs. And of course, I will be discussing these books, you know, in upcoming reading wrap-ups. Other than that, I hope you're all having a wonderful Yuletide season. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and leave me a question or comment down below because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.